when David and I started investigating how to prove whether Islam or Christianity was true, and we turned to the Muslim faith. I started reading the early stories of Muhammad's life for myself, instead of just receiving the stories, reading from beginning to the end.
Doing your own investigation.
And that's when I came across all these stories that no one had shared with me before. Things that made me think, why am I following this man?
Wow.
Everything that I had heard up until then had been very positive, but now I'm hearing stories about him being bewitched, him beheading hundreds of people on the same day, him doing, treating women in certain ways, nothing that I'd ever heard before. And naturally I kind of said, no, that can't be true, that can't be true. But what I later realized was this is coming from the same sources that all the positive stuff that I had learned came from. I have to take it or leave it. I can't selectively cherry pick my prophet. And when I came to that realization, it was a real earthquake for me.
Wow.
In the Quran, chapter 3, you can believe Jesus cleansed the lepers, that he healed the blind, he healed the deaf, he raised the dead. He is the virgin-born Messiah, son of Mary. He is the one who's going to come back at the end of times. You can believe all that, but don't you believe that he died on the cross, or that he rose from the dead, or that he is God. What does Romans chapter 10, verse 9 tell us? If you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. The exact three things that Islam denies about Jesus are the exact three things we have to believe in order to be saved. My main point is that you look at the earliest Islamic records and you see Muslims, not just random Muslims, but the Muslims who had been entrusted with the protection of the Quran, arguing with each other over what goes into it and what does not. Where do we start seeing this? Well, we start seeing it in Sahih al-Bukhari, Volume 6, Book 61. The entire book is a collection of how the Quran came together. In it, you see phrases like, well, I'll give you a key one first. A key one is Muhammad said, if you want to learn the Quran, go to these four men. The first person he mentions is Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and then he mentions two other men, Salim and Muad, and the fourth one he mentions is Ubay ibn Ka'b. Same book of Sahih Bukhari, Volume 6, Book 61, says Ubay ibn Ka'b recites portions of the Quran that none of the rest of us recite. And when asked not to, he says he will not leave it for anything whatsoever, because he heard it from the mouth of Muhammad. Surprising.